Hi, welcome to Cindy's Sacred Garden. I'm Cindy, and today I want to talk about elderberry. Elderberry syrup, why I've been making it for over plus decade, and also the other roots and herbs that I use to help really boost your system, immunity, and can be used kind of like a preventive where you're doing 1 teaspoon per day during cold and flu season to bump up your immune system and try to keep those flus and colds and COVID at bay. So the main ingredient is elderberries. And I have my pot right here. This is where we keep a majority of our herbs that we work with and our herbal teas, salves, syrups. So many of these are harvested by us or purchased with the thought of being clean, organic, and ethically sourced. So I wanted to say that. So elderberry, this is black elderberry. It's not red elderberry. There's 2 different elderberries. We don't use red elderberry, and you'll find more of that up north. There is something about it that, can be more toxic. They have to be dried for us. I know some people do fresh, but they also can it. We don't can. And you'll get to see the whole process in this video today. But elderberry is going to be your main ingredient. And that is the germs and bacteria and viral infections that kind of linger around. So I do this, I do the syrup every day in my smoothie. But in my case, I have my scale on. I just know how much goes in here. I've been making this for so long, I can do it in my sleep. But in this case, I want to be a little more good manufacturing practices. And now I can't tell you how much I use in my recipes. But I can tell you that elderberry is gonna be the most in your recipes. Today I'm gonna do about 25 bottles of our 10-ounce bottles. So we make big batches at once, but I keep them small enough where I can make them weekly or bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, so that we keep them fresh and there is no preservative chemicals except honey, raw honey, local. So you definitely want to keep it in the fridge. And I'm going to talk about the next one. So we use the elderberries and the wild cherry bark. The wild cherry bark has a wild cherry trees, the black ones. This is the bark inside. This is one of the most loveliest herbs to use for coughing and the sore throat. And it tastes really good when it's mixed with honey and the elderberry. So it's a great choice if you want to just find a way to make your own elderberry syrup without the cinnamon and the regular spices of the recipes online. Experiment. So wild cherry bark is wonderful, especially for the cough and the sore throat. So, and I'm a hands girl. I make sure they're sanitized. I'm one who can't wear gloves when I work with herbs. You missed the connection. Yeah. So our next one is, oh yes, lovely, lovely, lovely rose hips. So I've got the cut and sifted kind. A lot of times I use the whole rose hips, but we just made rose hip seed oil and I use most. We are going to be harvesting soon the multiflora rose hips, and I can't wait to have that in stock. So rose hips is your true vitamin C. This has been used by my ancestors as a way back in where you couldn't afford to go to a little store and get vitamin C caps. So the kids were given this, or rose hips were cooked into jams and jellies and cookies for the children to get their vitamin C during the winter months. So vitamin C is highly important. It's astringent. we use vitamin C for a lot of things, but this is amazing in elderberry. And gotta have that vitamin C, guys. We're not gonna be outside all day long with the sun on us anymore. It's gonna get cold. So vitamin C is a really important piece to have into your life at this time if you're not taking a supplement, because a lot of times those supplements just pass right through you, even if it's chelated. This is the best way to get your vitamin C, is buy the actual rose hip and use whether like a tea or internally or even as a tincture. That could work well. And then I love marshmallow root. Marshmallow root is wonderful for soothing inflamed lungs and the inflammation of the coughing and the sore throat. So it works well with the wild cherry bark. It also is nutritious to your body. It's a food as well. So it coats, and it's just very nourishing and really helps through colds and flus. And I go for licorice root, which is another one. It also helps with your adrenal systems. So it's not in a large amount that could affect someone who has high blood pressure. So it's not in a large amount, but marshmallow and licorice together are really lovely for the same reason of working with the lungs, the throat. So you kind of see what I'm doing here is I'm kind of putting together the whole piece. If you're sick, you got a cold, you got a flu, you got a fever, you got a sore throat, our elderberry syrup, Sacred Gardens elderberry syrup, works for almost all of this, like in every department of what you may have going on. And that's the importance for us with the elderberry syrup. And then I love white willow bark for pain. It's nature's first aspirin. So this helps reduce fevers, the pain, when you have fatigue and pain because you're sick. This just helps ease up the pain that you might be feeling. And can help reduce your fever. Here comes your adaptogens on top of the elderberry, because elderberry is an adaptogen, and we use astragalus root. That's not powder, that's not cut and sifted. It is the actual slices, root slices. And so this is the Ayurvedic way of working with astragalus. Astragalus works with boosting your immune system, and it's pretty general good use for most people. There are some who might be sensitive to it. I know a friend who has Graves' disease, and astragalus and ashwagandha doesn't work for her. So I just kind of tear this up in a little lighter slices, not so they're so big. So you know what? They use it as a tongue depressor. Yep. So I just do this, and we get our astragalus going. That is going to partner with your elderberry for your immune system. I also know a lot of people who take this for allergies and find great success with it. And our elecampane roots, we just harvested from the garden. I have some dried in here that I haven't put in the jar yet. So this is really good for lung infections, even bronchitis, asthma, deep lung infections. We have a tincture of this, and it is, a lot of people survived and loved it during heavy COVID season when it would settle into your lungs. I've had many customers tell me how wonderful it works. This is a medicine that my people in Menominee have used, and it was used for TB. And they found other reasons for the lungs on how to use it. And today it's important. I grow it in my garden. I want to have that relationship with elecampane and how it works in clearing out the lungs. If I have something coming on and my lungs feel heavy, I just get on my elecampane. It really reduces a cough, the extra phlegm. If there's a little infection in there, it's getting in deep. And so elecampane is really important. And if you ever worked with elecampane, it's hard, it's so bitter. And that's bitter to pull out of your lungs. So it draws it out. So you want it in a syrup for it to taste pleasant. When I do it in a tincture, it goes in my tea. I don't notice it as much, but if I did this as a tea by itself, I ain't drinking it. It's tough. So, okay. Put that in there. And I'm gonna do a little, I don't talk about echinacea enough. So I like to have echinacea in my elderberry syrup. You know, it was used so many years ago as a way to get over a cold and flu. And then a lot of research said don't do it for more than 21 days and so forth. I know a lot of people who can't do other immune herbs and echinacea is the one for you. People with autoimmune deficiencies and such. So echinacea root always goes in here. So now you can see how really powerful and concentrated that this becomes. And I also like to use, that's just the root. I like to use also the leaves and the flowers. I found out years ago that some people, and so men who are like had a cold and flu and just need a lot of mothering, this worked better for them than the root did. So I like to add some flowers and leaves into this. And one last thing, which is important as well, and that is bone set. Now, bone set is known to break a fever. So bone set goes where there's heat in the body and helps remove that heat. And that includes like if you break a bone or you sprain an ankle and you do a poultice. It is breaking the fever of where the injury is at. So bone set is also used to sweat out. And traditionally, that is the way that we did it, to sweat out colds and flus. We didn't have elderberry syrup, 40 years ago, we sweated out. A lot of times, some poultices were made like with horseradish and mustard, and it just heated you up. So it is to break the fever. So my bowl is pretty full. We're gonna make more. I'm gonna transfer this, but I wanted to show you what it looks like before I add my water and get it on the stove. And we'll continue this because I'm gonna show you a little of the process and then bottle it up. All right, everyone, blessings and have a great day.